Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So what was bad has gone to worse. What was worse has gone to shit. North Korea has fired missile tests, long-range missile tests. The missiles themselves landed off the coast of Japan, or the waters of Japan. The problem is this gives pretext. Meaning, look, I suspect Donald Trump wants a war. Honestly, I do. I suspect the Republican Party wants a war. I suspect the Democratic Party is not at all uninclined to do so. Now, many of these guys, when you're talking about weapons, contractors, and everything else, war is profitable. It's an extraordinarily profitable business. You're blowing up equipment. You're destroying equipment. You're building things purely for the sake of destroying those things, meaning people will have to come back and get more of those things. It's profitable. World War II pulled this country out of the Great Depression. If it's also presidents makes, shine in a sense of war. So would Donald Trump back away from a war? No, I don't think he would. I don't think he cares about the people on the ground. I think for the most part, he looks at this stuff in the same way that other presidents have looked at it. I have a job to do. My generals are doing X, Y, Z. Keep it moving. I handle the domestic stuff. They can handle that stuff. North Korea fired missiles off the coast of Japan. The United States is not going to let anything happen to Japan. And if you're looking for a reason, which Trump seems to be, again, they're openly talking about finding breaks in the Iranian society to use some kind of revolt to kind of get that particular society unmoored, to get it destabilized. We've been taking our warships near North Korean waters, threatening North Korea. It is problematic for North Korea to fire those missiles in Japan. And for the most part, the media is going to harp on the thing that they fired missiles near Japan. That's all they're going to harp on. Where's the context? Where's the context? Either you believe the guy is a raving maniac, raving lunatic. He is completely unhuman in the way he functions. He's so unhuman that the actions that he takes are completely unmoored from any kind of real things, any real stimulus. They're talking about applying sanctions because he fired missiles. I keep saying this because this blows me away. We don't have an honest representation of our history. We went into Iraq and killed 1 million people. Who put sanctions on us? Who put sanctions on us? When we destroyed Libya, who put sanctions on us? When we destroyed Afghanistan, when we were bombing Somalia, one country after the next, we do it with impunity. We do it with impunity. We're putting terrorists in Syria. They're called moderates. They're called moderates. And in calling those people moderates, the press is so uncurious that they just pay no mind to the fact that, hey, those guys aren't necessarily moderates in what you would think of as a moderate. Those guys are destabilizing a region. The press pays no mind. You understand, we're bombing people all in multiple countries and the president has no legal authority to do so. The press pays it. No mind. But the press will talk about these guys firing missiles near Japan. That sells. That put asses in seats. That makes the American audience terrified. What about an honest representation of our history in regards to what we've done in the world? If we're willing to do those things in the Middle East, what is he thinking? What is he thinking? And look at the way the United States is dealing with the Iran deal. We had a deal that keeps them from getting nuclear weapons. And the Trump administration is looking for ways to essentially undermine that deal, to blow that deal off. If you're in North Korea, what do? You're a person. You look at this and this is your little domain. You feel threatened by it. What do you do? What do you do? Do you acquiesce? Do you get squishy in the face of American opposition? What do you do? Because understand, we were provocating. We were putting warships in that area. We were bad-mouthing North Korea. We were the ones who were saying these things. We were the ones who tried to be heavy-handed and get them to do X or Y. That was us. That was us. We were pushing them. Why were we pushing them? What was the point in pushing them? Now you have this government that have seen the United States topple one government after the next, commit one illegal act after the next, and nobody calling them on it. What do you think they're going to do? They know if they get a nuclear bomb, you're not going to touch them. They know it. So they do the damnedest job they can do in order to get their hands on nuclear material to get a nuclear weapon. Iran was functioning under the exact same logic. If we have a nuclear bomb, the United States can't attack us. Israel can't just bomb us with impunity. The United States can't topple our government in the way the United States has toppled all these other governments. We've been setting fires into the Middle East. Yemen being one of our last casualties. And yes, that's Saudi Arabia. We were working with Saudi Arabia to murder Yemenis. Wholesale, starving them to death. Who put sanctions on us? I'm fascinated by that question. Nobody asked that question. That question seems invisible. Who put sanctions on the United States? We've done bad things in this globe. Certainly, these guys know that the United States is not blameless in all this. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. Maybe the media's job is literally to just be a mouthpiece, to be state media, with the appearance of being this objective thing that monitors government. Who puts sanctions on us when we do bad things? I'm not saying North Korea does good things. I'm just making this point of they fired missiles. If the United States fires missiles into somewhere, there are no sanctions. Nobody says anything. We can kill civilians. Nobody gives sanctions. Donald Trump fired missiles into Syria. Nobody said squat. The media applauded him for it. Why is it okay for us to do that? But we're putting sanctions on somebody else when they do that. This just seems a little peculiar to me. That's all. That's all. He's a human being. The leader of North Korea. As a human being, he's going to respond to stimulus, meaning if he feels threatened, he's going to respond. His response to feeling threatened is to threaten back. He's the leader of a country. He's not going to be able to look weak and save face. He's going to threaten back. It's a natural response. It's a human response. It's a response each and every person, all of us, can understand to some degree. They're making it look like him firing missiles is out of his mind. He's not out of his mind. He's not out of his mind. The scary part here. China and North Korea, or China and Russia have responsibility for North Korea nuclear threat, the United States says. The United States is now saying, look, you guys have been propping this guy up. And now, so you are responsible for what North Korea does. They're saying that to China and Russia, the United States government. If there's any provocation and anything pops off, meaning these sanctions that they're putting on North Korea, Russia, and there's one more. Does the United States understand that it will be against China, Russia, both nuclear power nations, both massive nations? Well, mind you, their military is not up to ours, but still, you're talking about numbers. And the United States military, the money that we spend on our military, is bloated. It's a bloated figure. They're wasting money on this or that. So our military, yes, it may be nice, but it may not necessarily be as advanced and epic as we think we are. You only really hear the number. That's all you really hear when you're talking about a military. You're not hearing what that number is buying and how that number that translates into actual things on the ground and efficiency. I'm just making this point that yes, you're spending a lot of money on your military, but how much bang are you getting for your buck? That's what I'm getting at. And is it enough bang to deal with 3 or 4 or 5 countries that are aligned against you? So Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, you've aligned all those countries based upon the policies and based upon the things that you've said against those countries. You're tying each and every one of these countries together against you. Just a bad idea, that's all. Look, I'm going to put both of these in the bottom to read. I will just make this point, and I want to emphasize, and I know I'm repeating it because it's important. When you're looking at people's behavior, you have to ask, why is that person behaving in that way? What needs to be true for that person to behave that way? And is there a reason they're behaving that way? Just as people, even if we're talking about somebody in the United States, people bristle when they're being threatened. Animals show their way to gonads and whatnot when they're being threatened. People act out when they're being threatened. Leaders in particular, because those guys have an image to uphold, they're not going to look weak. There's no way he can come out and not do something about the provocation. This is just what he's doing in regards to the provocation. But understand the underlying reason this is taking place is because the United States has been saber-rattling. The media doesn't necessarily make that clear, but the United States has been saber-rattling. They responded to saber-rattling. It's not like they're doing this in the vacuum. That's all I'm getting at. Don't completely blame him and don't act like the guy's crazy for what he's doing. And by the same token, don't necessarily let this stuff end up and going into a war. And it's the worst case scenario. You have a reality show whose president that's in office. You have a media that for the most part gives him a certain amount of clout when he just decides to declare war because it puts asses in seats. They like the coverage. It's a worst case scenario. You have a profit motive and political motive in order to kill other people. And you have a situation of a dictator in the country firing off missiles, giving them perfect pretense to do so. Just understand the original reason why he was doing it was because we were threatening him in essence. The reason why he's going for a nuclear missile is because he's seen our behavior in other parts of the globe. These things don't happen in vacuums. These guys aren't necessarily batshit crazy. They're doing things for particular reasons. In this case, if you have a bomb, a nuclear bomb, the United States is not going to fuck with you. He knows it. The other countries know it. And that's why these guys try to pursue a bomb. I'll leave it at that. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, write, subscribe, and you can always support the work through